Eamon from Ashland Farm here again. I put up a video this morning showing the dry cows, and a query came in from us that asking what is the tapes doing around the cows' tails. Okay, just to explain, that we normally put 3 tapes around them. The red tape, the 3 red tapes, is to identify that those cows has been treated with dry cow antibiotics, and that their milk, when they calf down, we tape them so we know when they calf down straight away and when they go into the parlour to milk. We also keep a record of it on our computer, so each cow that's treated with antibiotics and teeth sealers. So the red cow, anything red, has antibiotics in, right? The green or yellow tape, we can use either, shows that they have not got antibiotics, they have got sealant. And that when they calf down, when the milk is okay, you can put it in straight away. But there's no antibiotics in the cows with the green tape or the yellow tape. We have a system that the yellow tape signifies a dry cow, right? And the green signifies that she has teeth sealer in the tank, in it. So basically we can use either green or yellow, but the red is always antibiotics. And during our milking cows in the herd as well, if we have a cow that, like this morning, we had one milking cow that had mastitis, and we treated her, and she is marked, or she is taped red. So the minute she comes into the parlour, you can see her tail, and you know you do not put in that milk into the tank. And if you happen to put in that milk into the tank, what happens is there's a sample taken every day, or every time the milk lorry comes in, there's a sample taken of every farmer's milk. And when the tanker goes into the co-op, into the Ashlawn now, which ours goes to Virginia, before that lorry is emptied, each individual sample from each individual farmer is sent into the laboratory, and they can do a very, very quick antibiotic test. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes to do it. So if there is one of those samples that shows up with antibiotics, they realise which farmer it was from, because it's identified as Ashland Farm. We all have our numbers, our supplier numbers, and that's put on each bottle. It's a printout. They have automatically the labels in the milking parlour with our barcode on it, so they know straight away if that comes from Ashland Farm. And then they test the 3 individual compartments in the tanks in the lorry. Lorries has 3 different compartments, so to see which compartment has the antibiotics. If it's only one compartment, right, the milk from that compartment is dumped, not dumped into a drain. They have a special way of getting rid of that milk. But if it's the full load of milk, if the milk happens to go into 3 different compartments, depending on what way the lorry driver loads the milk, and if you happen to be at the end or coming near the end of the pickup, it could be in 3 tanks, because he could be dividing around to fill off the 3 compartments. I'm not sure what way the lorry driver fills it, but it could be in 1 apartment, it could be in 2 apartments, or it could be in 3 apartments. But if it's in all 3 apartments, the whole lorry load of milk is disposed of, and the farmer is held responsible for that tanker of milk. Now, some of us has farm insurance that covers that, but nevertheless the farmer has to pay for it. So you take a tanker of milk, could be worth 8 or 9 thousand euros. So it's a huge penalty. So you make sure that you don't let in antibiotics. And if you happen to do let in antibiotics into your own bull tank and you realise it before the lorry driver comes to pick up your milk, you dispose of that into the slurry tank and it's spread out onto your farm. So you cannot goes in for human consumption. So it is a very safe way of making sure that when you buy a litre of milk or you buy cheese or anything, any dairy products, you can be 100% sure that there's no antibiotics because of a brilliant system of testing them. So that's why the cows are very strongly identified, and at the calving time of the year you have to be very careful, and that's why you need an experienced milkman milking the cows or milkwoman at the calving, the cows are calving, and particularly when you have a lot of them calving and you have a lot of cows identified with antibiotics. Years ago, 7 or 8 or 10 years ago, we blanketed every cow got antibiotics, dry cow antibiotics, dry cow treatment. But now, because of the cutback of antibiotics and try to use less antibiotics, the system is that we test all our cows every month to see have they got highest somatic cell count. And as I explained already, it's only the high cows with high somatic cell count gets treated with antibiotics. Particularly the first lactation heifers and the younger cows are inclined to have less and less mastitis. So it's very important that you have good records and that you only treat the cows with antibiotics that has high cell count. So I hope that answers your questions. The tips again is to identify cows that are treated with antibiotics and cows that not. Okay, thank you very much for the query.